That is the sound of a distracted, divided, and dead American until they hear. Battle for Freedom, triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Watson Prunier. Yes, I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo5 Radio, and I'm glad that you are following me today as we try to get through another crazy week. So much is happening here, and as we get into this thing called Battle for Freedom and also talking about our freedoms and everything like that, I want you to know my website's battle4freedom.com, battle4freedom.com. Share it out with as many people as you possibly can. Tell your friends there. And I also want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to mojo50.com, mojo50.com, because this is the way, this is how I get to get a chance to speak to you beautiful people on a daily basis. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom of Mojo5 Radio. Again, thank you so much for being part of this. Good morning, Carolyn. She decided to go to facebook.com/Mojo5 Radio, facebook.com/Mojo5 Radio, and share this out with as many people as you possibly can. You can actually interact with the show, and I'll do the best that I can to cover and share what you will encounter and share during this broadcast. Sorry, my brain's a little bit on the fried side as I try and wrap my mind around what I want to say. If you were tuning via iHeart, like listening audio only, you would have known that just before this program, you had the Pat Oney Show. If you go to if you go to mojo50.com/schedule, you get a chance to listen to all the different programs that are available to you. Now, if you get a chance to also listen to me on Mojo5 Radio, you know that I love talking about me some American Pride Roasters coffee early in the morning.
That's it. I've hit the snooze button a dozen times, and now I have to finally get going. But I'm not going to do this day right if I don't start it off with a cup of American Pride Roasters coffee, the official coffee of Mojo5 Radio. But I'm not going to lie to you. They have a wide variety of blends, but I'm leaning towards the one that's named after me, Watson's White Chocolate Caramel. You know what? It sounds as good as those words that just rolled off of my mouth. Listen, get it today, AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you, and you want Watson's White Chocolate Caramel Blend to start your day off. Join American Pride Roasters Coffee and Mojo5 Radio, and most important, Battle for Freedom, as we celebrate the best coffee in the nation, American Pride Roasters.
Yes, and not only American Pride Roasters that I want you to share with them. That's just one of the sponsors that we have that has been with Mojo5 Radio, and really appreciate them actually even also creating a blend for me on Battle for Freedom. But also want you to get into as we wrap around our minds, 2020 was just a very abusive year to us in many ways, financially, psychologically, medically, spiritually. There are so many different battles and challenges that we face. Why don't you consider New Life Holistic as one of the cures in your day-to-day efforts in trying to recover from what 2020 and 2021 will be?
Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle for Freedom had sent you. One more thing. Give them the code MOJO50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic.
New Life Holistic, folks, again, can't keep telling you enough about getting that healing process that you need to, biofeedback therapy. And I'm going to share some things with you that honestly, when I saw it myself, I thought unbelievable. It's just amazing how you watch and see things take place. It's Black History Month, so, and I haven't done really much in the area of Black history. And I think that it's time for me to get into some of the different things. Yesterday, I was sitting there telling you about this crazy movie that we watched yesterday. I'll get back to that in a second here, because of the fact that it's still down. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what I saw this past weekend. I was looking at that movie. I briefly covered it in yesterday's program, but I want to talk a little bit more about it, only because of the fact that this idea of getting schooled, hard facts and knocks, is where we need to get. We need to get there because of the fact, I think that sometimes we wonder, how is it that we can get we can make such poor decisions in our lives. We can make such poor decisions in our lives. And it's really, in Black History Month, how do I get into this article? I found that Yug shared this article this morning, and I'm not going to lie to you. It's literally unbelievable. Good morning, Linda, Lisa, Brian, Jill, and Josh, and Curtis. I thank you for joining this. This story is literally unbelievable. Yes, I'll share that word to you when we get back from the break later in this broadcast. But stuck with the same hairdo, woman who set her hair with Gorilla Glue plans to sue the company after it burned her scalp and led to a 22-hour ER trip, which has failed to remove the product after a month. Tessica Brown, 40, from Violet, Louisiana, stunned social media users last week when she opened up about her beauty conundrum in a viral TikTok video. She explained that she sprayed Gorilla Glue on her hair after she ran out of got-to-be glued spray and hasn't been able to remove it for a month. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You've got to be kidding me. See, here's the thing about it is, I love this, that when I talk to you about this movie where this woman is basically spending 48 hours to figure out and understand what Black culture is like, and you have a lot of Black people who basically say, look at her trying to be Black. Yes, there are some white people like Vanilla Ice and Malibu's Most Wanted who maybe sometimes go overboard in their lingo of following and repeating what Black people may say. There's some whites and their language is clearly blacker than me, and I'm not offended by that. I'm not offended if I give up my Black card so other people can feel more hip, more cool, or maybe even down with the program more than I am. But you get to this point where in the culture, and they're so fixated on talking about hatred, and there's hatred from whites, a love-hate situation where they hate us because of the color of our skin, but they want to be us because of the color of our skin and the way we speak. The way we booty shake, the way we do everything. When we sit here during Black History Month, basically going out of our way, we go out of our way to basically highlight the accomplishments and achievements of Blacks, again, in the shortest month of the year, because I guess they don't want articles like this coming out. And yes, Keith, guess there's going to be a new warning on Gorilla Glue. Don't put in your hair. She can't shave that head, William. She can't shave that head because of the fact that this is just amazing, unbelievable. UNBEWEAVABLE, unbelievable. As we sit here, she's getting schooled in Hard Knocks. When you sat here trying to talk about other people pretending to be like you wanted to pretend to be like someone else, to make your hair slick, held down. It doesn't matter how many times you go to the salon and you basically get your hair pressed, or you get the ironing, and our hair is kinky. Our hair is not always straight. The only way that it can potentially stay straight is if you have some kind of level of whiteness in your family tree that may offer your hair to possibly be straight. Apart from that, you're going to constantly keep doing my three beautiful angels. Two of them have long hair, almost like my wife, and my middle one, she has more kinky hair like I had. And I feel bad for her because sometimes I know she loves when she gets her hair straightened. She looks beautiful with straightened hair. She looks beautiful without straightened hair. I'm looking forward to her realizing that her difference in her hair texture doesn't make her less important, less lovable, less beautiful. She is beautiful in of herself. And so I will be sharing this story with my kids so that they know about this black woman who put Gorilla Glue in her hair to mat it down and make it look like something. See, I don't want my girls going off and spending $400 to $1,200 and 8.5 hours in a salon getting extensions weaved into their hair. Getting someone else's hair weaved into their hair because they're trying to be like someone. This is so sad because of the fact that, again, she thought that she was getting this great deal and super glue. See, you remember yesterday when we were talking about the whole idea of education and I was arguing with you. I was telling you about how people were arguing for the right to be in debt. Let me I found my notes. It was on another page. But it said this is one of the things that I saw as Dave Ramsey said, maybe before we forgive student loan debt, we should stop allowing student loan debt. And one of the women said, not Tessica, but Jessica P said this. She said, so you're saying that if you can't afford a degree in cash, you shouldn't be able to get one. Punishing the children for the mistakes of the parents or the parents' inability to overcome poverty and debt? Wow. How are you punishing children by not allowing them to get in debt? See, because of the fact that we are so bought into this mindset that we have to be in school, we have to have that car, we have to have that home. It was an interesting story shared yesterday from one of my friends, actually my realtor. Where she shared yesterday is as I sit here telling you about the idea that one of the things that Dave Ramsey says is cash is king. Cash is king. She had a client who was ready to buy a house. Everything was set out. It was perfect. The family was ready to buy. And in the last second, in the 11th hour, in 59 minutes and 59 seconds, the deal goes sour. Why? Because someone offered full cash that was less than the actual price that her client decided to pay for the house. They offered less money, but physical money that they could walk away with, and cash is king. If you don't believe the power that cash has, that you can actually sit there and give someone money right there, it's undeniable. The power of having cash, the power of not borrowing, the power of being independent of owing someone else so you could have freedom. But denying kids it's horrific. It's punishing children, not giving them money to borrow to go to school. And getting schooled in hard facts and hard knocks. It's hard. It's very difficult for us to process the information if we keep doing what everybody else did or does. In their failure, what is it? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. See, I'm blown away by this because this young lady, I'd love to find out how far her education system went. I'd love to know what public school system, which did she just get pushed forward? No, was this a child not left behind that she decided that she was going to turn around and put Gorilla Glue in her hair? In the midst of Black History Month, this is probably why they go with the shortest month in the year, so that we don't have to look at, this is a historical moment on what this woman has done. And the crazier part about it is she actually decided that this was going to go on TikTok. Let's look at another statement that someone says. Way to go. Keep the poor and underprivileged from achieving a higher education. So I'm sitting here and I'm letting you know I'm 31 years in IT by the grace of God. I had my first couple of computers. I was having my challenges with them. They were these Radio Shack computers that were giving me hell. And I spent a lot of time taking them apart, putting them together, reading the books on DOS and QBasic and Quick Basic and Visual Basic and learning these programming languages as I started my career more than 30 years ago. Even now, as I'm working on 3D rendering and I'm building up these supplies, building up these assets to use for the movies that I want to, as I want to take my Stone's Heart books to movies, I'm building 3D characters. I'm sitting here and I'm building even clothing assets for the 3D character that I'm creating. And I'm not going to lie to you, I've had like this mental block on getting this done. But ever since I started just taking things out of my schedule to allow me to focus more, I'm finding that some of these difficult tasks that I was trying to achieve before are a lot easier now because I have a lot more controlled time in my hands. So over this past weekend, I hit a major hurdle that I could start creating assets. Now, mind you, again, I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school for 3D. I didn't go to school for programming. But if you ask me to program, it's been years since I've programmed in Visual Basic, but the principles are still the same. You asked me to program in C#, in Java, in Perl, in Python, in any different languages that's out there. When I started studying, Russian, when I started studying, that has 33 letters in its alphabet. As I started studying Japanese and studying, the kanji and understanding the kana. The hiragana, the katakana, to understand that there are 105 phonetic syllables in the Japanese language. You have the traditional scripty language that you see, or the phonetic characters for the Japanese language. You have another 105 that are more the hard angled characters that you see in the Japanese lettering. I had this amazing book on kanji that was giving like the first 1,000 or so kanji symbols. And it was beautiful how it broke it down and showed you the positions of where some of these characters were and how you understood that the symbol for fire was like 4 different things. Think of like ticks and commas in different directions. And it depending on where the fire was, if it was on the bottom, it talked about it was warming something from the bottom. If it was from the top, so the symbol for water, the symbol for fire, depending on where it was positioned in the character, help you decide and decipher exactly what that Chinese word or symbol meant. But I did this all as a high school dropout. I took some classes here, I took some classes there, I got my GED. Hard knock life basically presented itself for many opportunities for me to learn on many different things. Moved out when I was 16. Stayed with my best friend's family, whose dad, and I forgot to call him yesterday on his 80th birthday. I will be doing that today. But you sit here and you keep thinking, I need this degree to get these different things going. No. I can say more than Dos Vidania. I can say Очень плохо and all the other different things. I can say more than Kino Teki wa do desu ka? I can say and speak these different languages because all I did was pick up a book and spend the time trying to understand the language. Whether it was a computer language, whether it was a physical language, it didn't matter. Whether it was Croatian that I started studying, whether it was Farsi, or whether it was, oh my goodness, Spanish, Italian, I did a little German. You don't need a degree to do this. Pick up a book. Go to Half Price Bookstore. Go to these places where they sell the books at a cheaper level than just going straight out and paying for it. Or make the investment and buy the DVDs and CDs, or get yourself a Rosetta Stone package. But you don't need the degree to accomplish these different things. Huh. This was one I saw, because you have to understand the way we get to this point where Tessica wants to put crazy glue in her hair, where she wants to put gorilla glue in her hair, is because of the fact that she unfortunately did not get the level of education that she needed to, and not even just the basic education, it's the fundamental skills in discerning right from wrong. Maybe too much chemicals in her hair put her in a position where she burned off some of those discernment skills. Long before it was crazy glue, it was this BT Dew or whatever it was that she was putting in her hair. Here was another statement that was said, and I was supposed to share this yesterday, but the timing is perfect on this, because trust me, there's a whole lot more I want to talk about. This is from a woman named Lisa. If most people require loans to make it to and through college, even from upper middle class households, that is bad for our country. It's true as a whole, and it's also bad for the economy and social well-being of our nation. You hear that term, the social, Lord Jesus help us. Countries where college is affordable to most residents have a much higher quality of life than the United States by a great margin. Also, they have a far greater gross national happiness and better health and life expectancy. That's some straight ignorance right there. Well, I love someone who responded and says, thing is, they don't require the education. When you look at some of these jobs, they don't require the education for you to work some of these jobs. We as a nation have brought into the whole student loan lie and swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. And I loved, this was another response, another person said, and they also pay 60% plus in taxes. This idea of being happy because you want to feel better, and it's like it's an illusion, because it's the freedom's lost because you're paying way too much. If you keep thinking that people are getting things are affordable and free in these other countries, I'm letting you know your education, your teachers failed you, your parents failed you if you actually believe it's cheaper and freer in these other countries. Free healthcare, free education, affordable living. When you're paying 60% plus in taxes, it is not free because someone has to pay for it. When you sit here and you're looking for free education, whether it's student debt forgiveness, or you actually have to this point where you want these schools to make education, these schools for free. So let me ask you a couple of questions in this whole process. We do this quickly before we go to the break. Okay, if school is for free, you have the teachers, you have the janitors, you have the principals, you have the coursework, you have the electricity, the utilities, other facilities that you're going to pay for. Who pays the people who are doing the job? Because they're not going to work for free. The janitors aren't going to work for free. The teachers aren't going to work for free. As it is, teachers have the lowest salaries as it is from the government, from the system you're trusting to make this stuff free. You keep thinking that this stuff is free. These other countries is more affordable and people are happy. I dare say that Tessica isn't the only one who's putting Gorilla Glue in her hair. Holy moly guacamole. Yeah. Listen, let's do this. Let's go to a break because of the fact that I'm starting to get worked up. And that's not good because I want to be clear I want to be clear and concise in what I'm about to say. I'm your host, Watson Freedom from Battle for Freedom. Let's go to a break, and I'll let you enjoy some beautiful elevator music until we return. Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Watson Freedom from Battle for Freedom on Mojo5 Radio, and I'm so excited as you're going to be with me today here as we get into this whole subject of getting schooled, hard facts and hard knocks. My website's battle4freedom.com. I share this with you so that you can share it out with as many people as you can, and we. Brian Keith says, for someone like me who gets up at 4:30 in the morning, this music is putting me to sleep. Sorry about that, but the elevator music gives me enough time to refresh my brain and get ready as I sit here and talk about the different things of Battle for Freedom. Kind of like this other thing that I want to share with you, which is really
when the world is going to hell in a handbasket, you need rugged, you need strong, you need durable, you need Cat coolers. These are the best coolers on the market in 27, 55, and 88 quart. Go to catcoolers.com and give them the code Watson to save 10% on your purchase. Don't settle for those substandard containers that melt, leak, and destroy your memorable moments. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you. Cat coolers.
Yes, cat coolers. Get cat coolers as quick as you possibly can because things are about to get crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. Again, we need to find a balance in what we do in life and everything like that. For me, my wife and I have had this like late night enjoyment of watching this TV series called Jericho, and I'm not going to lie to you, it is driving me up the wall because Jericho is just far too close. It's far too close to. I had a town called Jericho near where I grew up, but. And I did not love playing their high school football team because they were crazy. But this TV series that was on CBS, you need to watch it because it's really powerful in reference to what's going on here. So, getting school hard facts and hard knocks. So I spent literally the first segment on talking about this young lady who decided she was going to put Gorilla Glue in her hair. I spent towards the last end about the ignorance of people believing the need for us to pay for higher education. But why pay for higher education if we make kindergarten decisions? See, because it's in kindergarten is where the kids are sniffing glue, eating glue, and possibly putting glue in their hair or someone else's hair. But this young lady is not in kindergarten. Oh, Cruz Fraba. I'm sitting here watching this thing unfold, and I'm like, this can't really be happening. But it is. It is happening. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. No, there's something we can do. There's most definitely something we can do on this. Because the reason why is we're going to keep talking about this. This is Black History Month, February. We shall overcome. Let's get into this other article because this is hard knocks and hard facts and knocks. Because we for 5 years, we keep using coin phrases like systemic racism, white supremacy, domestic terrorists that are fostering a culture of hate and racism. That black people are being hunted down by cops. But when I sit here and we talk about it, it's interesting how a lot of this stuff has disappeared. Blacks aren't being put in slavery. As we sit here trying to talk about this Uncle Tom talking to you is telling you the truth in reference to the lies that they've been sharing with you. But when all you hear are lies about your oppression, you don't have problems believing or carrying on in unhealthy behavior that it contributes to the killing. Less than 5%, less than 3% of all the deaths of black people are at the hands of whites or police officers. So when we tell you 95 to 97% of the deaths of black people are at the hands of other black people, you don't want to hear that. That's hard facts. And we've accepted it as the hard knocks of life that you live in the hood is ghetto life. Mind you, it's not Malibu's Most Wanted killing them. It's not Ice-T, not Ice-T. It's not Vanilla Ice killing them. It's one another. Case in point. Here you go. Boyfriend films himself screaming, "I'm sorry," and pacing with a gun in hand after murdering his girlfriend, 26, and her mother, then shooting himself dead during a standoff with SWAT in Dallas. 3 bodies were found inside the Dallas apartment after shooting on Sunday. Authorities said a suspect fired at them, prompting them to call in the SWAT. After attempts to get the suspect to surrender, SWAT made entry into the apartment and discovered the 2 bodies of the women and a man. Police haven't released identities of the 2 victims of the suspect, but they have identified them as Marietta Matthews, 26, and her mother, Tamiko Matthews. And her boyfriend identified as Nathan Rashad James, 24 years of age. It wasn't the police. It wasn't one of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Michael Brown, Trayvon. Those names that we utter like a national anthem. We utter the names of the victims of police brutality, but we're silent to the names of our own culture, our own cultural and societal demise at the hands of one another. Not because of poverty, not because of the oppression of white people, but because our songs, our music, and our tenacity to be disastrous and diabolical furthers our degrading personalities and behavior with one another. Black History Month. Let's celebrate this. Before we start celebrating, we shall overcome again. Before we start going back to the Negro spirituals, before we go back to Harriet Tubman and half these amazing. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate the black leaders who the pioneers of not of civil rights, but pioneers of ingenuity and innovation. And some of them, we don't even have to go back centuries to find. We don't have to go back decades to find them. There are black men and black women successfully leading their families in humility before God and teaching their children right from wrong. No, baby, there's no reason for you to be out in the street with your buddies and your thugs with your pants down. Yes, sweetie, getting an education actually is a great thing if you know how to, one, don't get in debt getting an education, and two, understand that sometimes that education the education that you need isn't in the college. I'm telling you, pay attention and look around in your neighborhoods. Watch you can tell right now by sitting on the porch who's going to succeed and who's going to bleed. You can tell right now, baby girl. You could tell right now, little boy, little man. And I want to help you understand that it's not L-I-L, but it's L-I-T-T-L-E. Instead of basically embracing the culture of raping intelligent speech, let me set you up to understand business ethics and understand business in technical terms so that when you get into the workforce, you won't feel ignorant. You'll actually feel like you're a contributor because you understand what you have to do when you get there. They don't need to see how good you are in dribbling a ball. They don't need to see how good you are in playing Minesweeper. They want to see if you can actually figure out what 1 + 1 is. They want to see if you understand fundamental math and reading skills. That's not achieved by how well you dribble. So I don't have to tell you the color of Nathan Rashad James, who shot and killed his girlfriend and her mother. That's hard facts, hard knocks. We accept it as hood life, thug life, and we sit here talking about a systemic racism killing America. You know the education system has failed you when you are fixated on 3% over 9%, 97%. I've had intelligent blacks who are Christians, he telling me where the real threat is. You've had people over and over and over again tell you the biggest threat in the black community is fatherless homes. But we want to keep talking about systemic racism like it actually is making a dent, a crippling dent in the success of the black culture rising out of the ashes. Sorry. I forgot to mention that the only reason why they're having ashes is because they're the ones with the lighter fluid and the blunts burning down their homes and burning down their families. Let's move on. You can't handle that stuff. You can't handle the truth. I love this because here's the thing about it is that when we don't have the proper, when we like people saying coined phrases and coined terms because we like those catchy phrases that put people in their place rather than actually putting the books to our face and reading history, studying history, it's easy to make these flippant terms and not care about it. I love this. LA Times columnist criticizes Trump supporting neighbors. Someone did something nice and you're victimized? A woke LA Times op-ed columnist is blasted for comparing Trump supporting neighbors to Hezbollah and Nazi sympathizers after they kindly plowed snow from her yard. You show compassion. You try and free people from the ignorance of believing that socialism is the way of making things. Here it is, socialism, where a neighbor tried to show kindness. Forget it. You don't even need the title or the label of socialism. You just need to see that this was someone who's trying to actually make your life easier, and you're calling them a Nazi sympathizer? You're calling them Hezbollah? when we are literally, we're redefining genders, we're redefining right from wrong, we're redefining election fraud 4 years ago compared to 4 months ago. We're in this upside down thing, and I'm letting you know that the hard facts that show that you argued, and now you're going to try and impeach the president. You want to talk about terrorism, you want to talk about tyranny, you want to talk about Nazism. What they're about to do with the president in illegally trying to impeach a president again, to stack the courts with people who are pro-impeachment, who are favored for the impeachment, and thinking that you're actually going to get them to show some kind of discernment on this. And this is what you educators, a lot of you who are liberals, a lot of you who are who want the unions. Many of you basically are angry that Trump is shutting the school systems down, shutting everything down. But it's the teachers' unions keeping kids from being in school. But you want the government to pay you for not having the kids in school. But it's Trump's fault. Orange man bad. Huh? I'm starting to think that education, that general education degree, that underwater basket weaving degree wasn't as successful as it was. And now you're $50,000 to $150,000 in debt, and you still can't do 1 + 1. But you got a paper that says you know exactly, you understand gender studies, and you understand the significance of a third Woo! Wow. Thank you, Lord, for stopping me. For some of the most asinine studies programs out there, you got a degree for it. One of my friends, he's telling me about it, that as his daughter is working towards this degree, they have her taking these dumb classes that have nothing, these electoral classes that have nothing to do with her degree. Nothing to do with setting her up as a successful contribution to society. But she's paying extra for classes that she really should not be taking. Huh. But this is what you believe in schooling is for. I love this because of the fact that we're sitting here so flippant in calling Trump Hitler. And then granted, on the right, we're so flippant in calling Obama Hitler. We're so flippant on calling Biden Hitler. But you know, it's really sad though, because when you sit here and you do the history and you find out that socialism, progressivism, Nazism, fascism, communism, they all started the same way, disarming the people and taking away their right to speak. Every time it started with censoring people. It started with disarming people. Right now, they're fencing up D.C. for the impeachment process because they know it's a sham. I find it very interesting that during the Kavanaugh hearings, you had tons of people who were clear on wanting Kavanaugh to fry. They had the freedom to scream from the back alleys inside the halls when Kavanaugh was being dealt with. But now, American people can't even get there now. I bet you there's probably pro-impeachment people who will be in the alleys, in the galleys. I bet you there'll be people who are eager to see Trump be prosecuted and put in jail in the galleys. It's very easy to set the stuff up when all the people, and again, hear this too, I'm not calling him Jesus Christ. But this is a sham trial. This is a sham impeachment, just like the sham trial that Jesus experienced before he was crucified. You had a kangaroo court that took Jesus Christ, and you had all these fake witnesses coming out of nowhere. Went from Pontius Pilate to these different people at crack o'clock in the morning, trying to find anybody who could label a rallying accusation against Jesus. They kept moving him from court to court, from lower court to the higher court to the third court to the fifth court to the. It was a nightmare. Trying to find someone who will stack the system to work against us, and then use popular opinion to basically say this is the reason why he needs to die. And we're doing it all over again. Again, there are a lot of things I don't agree with what former President Donald Trump has done. And I don't fully blame him on what took place in the Capitol, but I do partially blame him on that. I do partially blame him. Yeah. So, you sit here and you look at, you just watch this stuff and unfold itself. It's so easy to yell, Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. And here's the thing about it. I don't care for ignorance. If you decide that you want to be crazy, if you want to say things that are just unnecessary, sometimes it's best to not just ignore. Sometimes it's best to just remove things. Listen, during my program, as I try and keep people focused on the task and focused on the topics, I have no desire to entertain folly, and neither should you. As we try and talk about the facts, as we try and talk about the information, this is exactly what we do. And I'm going to try and do the best that I can to keep you informed. Because when we start using terms and we don't have the facts to it, we don't have the history to it, we don't have the data to support what we're talking about, it really makes for keeping people ignorant. This is interesting. I saw this article earlier too. It says the media Stasi Glenn Greenwald slams culture of junior high hall monitoring tattling among prominent woke journalists that is like East German citizen surveillance. Now this I would need you to pay attention to this. The journalist shared his thoughts on what he calls authoritarian reporting. Greenwald points to the New York Times reporter Taylor Lorenz, who falsely accused a tech investor of using the R word during an online chat she was monitoring. They have insufficient talent or skill, or even less desire, to take on real power centers, so settle on the penny ante trivial bull things, he writes. Greenwald also name-checked CNN's Brian Stelter, Oliver Darcy, NBC's Brent Carsey, Brandy Zadrozny, and New York Times Mike Isaac, and Kevin Rose, and Sherry Frankel. You have to understand that right now, we spent 4 years complaining about white Karens calling out black people for having barbecues, walking down the street, just as existing as black. I mean, just because they're black, but now we actually are encouraging Karens, because if you're not wearing a mask, if you have more than 6 people in your home, I watched a video in Canada where a husband and wife were carried away for having more than 6 people, because many of you are believing that having too many people in a house is what's allowing this virus, which is allowing this manufactured flu to basically go around and kill the populations off. We are now in the point that we don't teach Anne Frank anymore. We stopped teaching Anne Frank because we're creating a whole bunch of Karens who will basically report every Anne Frank that's out there. As conservatives are now being siloed into silence because of the fact, and censored into silence, and they have to basically go find other platforms to communicate. You're watching totalitarianism take place right before you. Oh, we're protecting the Capitol. We're protecting this. You have a military state. You have an exorbitant number of military men and women still in D.C. for no reason but to protect everyone from the domestic terrorists. You had domestic terrorists burning down cities, and there was no military presence to shut down what was taking place. People in New York lived in fear. People in Minnesota lived in fear. People who lived in Seattle and in Portland lived in fear. But we're going to call Trump and his followers these domestic terrorists, these Naziites, these neo-Nazis. You throw out these terms, but you really don't realize that the people that you elected or you allowed to steal the election are the very Nazis who will overcome you. President Trump's going to take us into a war with Korea and Syria and Russia. Yeah, interesting. Joe Biden deploys 4 B-1 bombers to Norway to operate on the edge of Russian airspace in a message to Vladimir Putin. Hey, yeah, because he's gonna show Putin something. He's not Putin's friend like Donald Trump. He's not Putin's puppet. We are literally on the brink of another Cold War from who? Not Trump. Give him credit on this. He didn't start a war. You literally have us with 4 B-1 bombers. Not jackets. Planes that drop arsenal on countries and obliterate them. The history is unfolding before your eye. The military state grew up. Hail Hydra is going on right now in our country. Seek Heil and Hail Hydra. You so woke? We're about to go to war. Our economy's on the brink of failure. Oh yeah, the Dow Jones can keep going up as much as we want. Sooner or later, the bill comes due. Sooner or later, the reality comes out. You can't keep padding the numbers. So you take us to war, President Joe Biden. Folks, pray for him. Pray for him. Lord Jesus, please help us. Did you know that it costs us $400, I think, is it monthly? Is it monthly? Let me make sure I get this number right here. Because you want to talk about debt. They're going to use this as an excuse. And then we're going to justify why we're going to overcharge and overtax American citizens. Deploying National Guard to Capitol until March will cost $483 million. Pentagon discloses as thousands of troops stay in place during impeachment trial. See, as you sat here talking about warmongering, as you started talking about a military state, as you sat there talking about how Americans would feel unsafe, and if Donald Trump hinted he wanted to have a military parade, oh, this is horrific. This. What are you trying to do? Were you trying to flex? Huh? Come on, folks. Let's make sure that you remembered all your lessons from Romper Room and Sesame Street. BBC, NPR, y'all sit there. You lambasted conservatism. You lambasted President Trump, former President Trump, for the military states, for the oppression, for the overreaching of power. So let's move away from that for a second here, because I want to talk about something here I thought was very interesting. Now, this is live. This is live in Technicolor. Creepy Joe is at it again. President is blasted after telling a nurse running a vaccine site that she looks like a freshman during a video conference. Biden, 78, has been accused of attempting to flirt with a young nurse. The exchange happened during a public video conference with healthcare workers in Glendale, Arizona. Nurse Brittany Hayes had just finished describing the process for residents to get the Pfizer vaccine. And even Donald Trump Jr. calls us out, because think about this: grabbing a woman by the hoo-hoo is basically what you sat there. We actually have a president who grabbed a woman by the hoo-hoo, and he's sitting there flirting with women saying hoo-hoo, and you are fixated on impeaching a man for the very crimes that the current president has committed. Election fraud, dealing with China, dealing with Ukraine, dealing with Russia, and sexually assaulting women. Unbelievable. As I look at this stuff, and it's really crazy and everything like that, I have to just really appreciate Tessica for putting Gorilla Glue in her hair. Because that's more believable than the unbelievable madness that's affecting our country right now. You think you need an education? You want to go to school and you want me to pay your bill for you not wanting to accept the responsibilities of paying that school loan? No one forced you into that school loan. No one forced you there. You keep thinking, again, I'm here to show you that you can get it done without the degree. I'm here to testify, and I'm among many people. One of my good friends, Scott, neither of us have a degree, but God has been so gracious in our lives to allow us to have the success that we have right now. I have nothing against school. But the problem is it's overpriced because the government keeps lending out money, so they keep raising the price. And at the end of the day, it's the hard facts and hard knocks that actually prove the people who have the ability to discern outside of a paper bag and a fake degree what really matters. I'm calming down right now. I'm going to let you get excited by Brad Staggs and the Daily Mojo that comes up up next. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom, folks. I got to take off. I got to cool down. I'm too unbelievable.